Good morning, sixth grade. Last week, we talked a little bit about the history of space exploration, and now we're really going to jump into our first unit, the geology of Mars. So I'm looking at this picture here, and I have a picture of the sky at night. You can see all of those stars. You can see other galaxies, and we're going to really jump into Earth and space science this year. So Earth and space science is the scientific study of processes on Earth and in other locations in our solar system and our galaxy. Earth science, like all science, is not just the knowledge that you can read about in books, but also the process used to figure out that knowledge. So in this unit, you're going to not just learn about Earth science, but you're going to learn how to investigate and see that science on other planets, just like an actual Earth scientist or geologist does. So for hundreds of years, people have been looking up at the sky, views like this, and wondering if there's life beyond Earth. Is there life on any of those little dots we see up there, or any of those planets around those little dots? Today, scientists are always using these really advanced tools, kind of like those space probes that we looked at in our videos on Friday, and trying to decide if there's planets that could support life. So in this unit, we're going to learn how Earth scientists do that and how they study other places to see if they can help solve this search for life. So you're going to take on the role of a student planetary geologist. In a little while, you'll also get to see a video of an actual planetary geologist and see what that person does. But a geologist is a type of Earth scientist. Geo meaning Earth, ologist meaning study. So it's someone who studies the Earth. A planetary geologist is someone that uses their knowledge of Earth geology to study faraway places like Venus, Mars, Pluto, or even further than that. So the work you're going to do is going to be really similar to scientists that are actually studying Mars, because that's where we're going to be focusing a lot of our information. So while you might not actually be trying to solve this problem for them, they think they have the answer to this, you're going to be using all of the same data that these scientists actually use in their real day-to-day job when they're studying things like the geology of our planet and the geology of other planets. In order to do that, we're going to be looking at if things can be habitable. So our big unit question for this, and we're going to answer a lot of questions throughout this unit, but the one we're going to keep coming back to is, how can we search for evidence that other planets were once habitable? When we say other planets once habitable, we need to know what habitable means. So habitable means having the conditions necessary to support life. When you think of a planet that has life on it, what do you picture in your head? You're going to answer that in just a little bit, what you think makes a planet habitable. But when you see this word habitable, which you're going to see a lot, it means that it's able to support life. Earth is, as far as we know, the one habitable place in our solar system that we've found so far. So our big question is going to be, can other places support life? And how can we actually search for that information or for that evidence that those places were once habitable? Before we move on to thinking about how can we find these aliens? I want to point out a couple of things that are often really big misconceptions with sixth graders, something they might not think of right away when we think about searching for life. First off, we're looking for signs that they were once habitable. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they still contain life or still can support life, but more that they once were able to. So if we can find a very small fossil of life, that means that at one point that place was able to support life. We're also not really looking for the type of aliens that you might think of. When you think of life on another planet, you might think of like the tall, skinny green guy with the funny shaped head. That would be like an alien from a science fiction movie or a cartoon. We're looking more for like really small forms of life. If we could find intelligent life somewhere, that'd be amazing. But right now, what we're looking for is something like a little tiny bacteria that once survived on a different planet. Something that you maybe can't even see with your bare eye. You might even need like a microscope or a telescope to be able to see that. So be really careful about what we're thinking of when we think about searching for evidence of life. And in the next part, I'm going to leave the habitable slide, this one, up for you to go back and check if you need to. You're going to go ahead and tell me, what do you think a planet needs in order to be habitable? Go ahead and answer that on the next slide, and I'll see you in the next video.